Good day, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I would like for you, Miss Ianson, who I am depending on to make sure I don't join a Hebrew Israelite camp, and the sister who asked me to dig a little deeper into Lucifer's takeover of white Jesus' religion. I would like for you to journey with me through the events of the not-so-distant past, look at our present day with fresh eyes, and because my God is so awesome, show you what will befall so-called African Americans in the not-so-distant future. All, mind you, backed up through the meticulous wording of prophecy. Your prophecy. I said look at the present day with fresh eyes because hopefully, mind you, hopefully you can see now the colorless Jesus, thus his followers. What? Yes, there is a demon behind the image. Yah has already told us. There is a fallen God behind every religion his people were practicing. And seeing Christianity with little white baby Jesus and grown-up colorless Jesus being the predominant practice for coloreds, this can only mean, as Ms. Reader pointed out in her comments, the Anointed One was correct when he told us about the other Jesus everyone was deceived into thinking was him. Saying that, hopefully, you perceive like Mr. Malongo and Nabi, Lucifer and his followers. They call themselves the governance, has infiltrated colorless Jesus cult's upper ranks and the General Assembly, with the colorless Jesus freaks unawares. How? By having his followers call upon the name of Jesus in public, but their entire, and I do mean their entire doctrine, is not based on anything the Anointed One says, the true Anointed One that is, nor colorless Jesus said at all. In fact, if looked upon with an analytical eye, just like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the other Jesus' entire message is from the flip side of the coin. In this case, Isaiah 14. Meaning, what we will be reading is the actual offenses Yah ascribes that Lucifer was doing on the earth in real time. Yah's awesome. Well, if I can bring it home. Are you ready to rock and roll and hear a bunch of I told you so's? Right on time. I can't hear your answer because this is a video. But if you said yes, behold, evidence of everything I have said thus far about this subject, from a white man at that, according to List Verse Religion section, or for the academics, according to Boise State News under 10 Plans Christian Radicals Have for America, March 2015. We will not go over all of them because we have already exposed a couple in previous videos. First up, under Capture the Republican Party, Perceptual Context. This article was written in March 2015, which can only mean when you hear these words and match them up with the events even you know in your heart they are to be true, hopefully it will get your minds right to meditate on the future part of this video towards the end. Let's begin, shall we? Quote, to conquer the 7 mountains. We've already gone over this, remember? Dominionists are stealthily infiltrating the GOP and increasing their political influence. Recent presidential candidates Rick Perry and Michelle Bachmann have ties to dominionist groups. Stop. Again, March 2015. Now we know it turns out all but 2 Republican candidates were card-carrying Tea Party dominionists. But let's continue. Remember when I said they had a 35-year plan? You know, to raise up a generation? Check this out. Quote, in 1979, GOP strategist Paul Whiterich politically mobilized factions of fundamentalists, Pentecostal, and charismatic churches under the umbrella term Moral Majority. It was led by Reverend Jerry Falwell. Whiterich, which is Weyrich, made no secret of its goal. Personal quote, we are talking about Christianizing America. We are talking about simply spreading the gospel in a political context. The clout of the religious right became apparent in the 1980 elections when it unseated liberal Democrats in the Senate and helped propel Ronald Reagan into the White House. The moral majority is no longer around. But Pat Robertson's Christian Coalition has continued its work. Personal quote, we want as soon as possible to see a majority of the Republican Party in the hands of pro-family Christians, Robertson declared in 1992. Listen up. He and fellow pastors have schools and universities to train Christians how to run for public offices and how to influence policy once in power. Robertson's named his institution Regent University because its students are destined to take over the government as Christ's regents. You say that again. Robertson named his institution Regent University because its students are destined to take over the government as Christ's regents. Stop. I told you. And they are #1 in the country, beating Harvard and the like mercilessly in debating year after year. In fact, according to the New Yorker under June 2005, quote, described by its founder as the evangelical Ivy League and by its students as Harvard for homeschoolers, Patrick Henry College in Purcellville, Virginia, are educating fundamentalist Christian politicians. In conservative circles, homeschoolers are considered something of the elite, rough around the edges, but pure in their focus, capacity for work and ideological clarity. A view that helps explain why the Republican establishment has placed its support behind Patrick Henry and why so many conservative politicians are hiring its graduates. Of the 61 graduates through 2004, 2 had jobs in the White House, 6 on staff of conservative members of Congress, 8 in federal agencies, 2 are FBI, and another worked for the Coalition Provisional Agency. Liberty University is #1 in the nation for debates. Personal quote, for the evangelicals, there's a lot more at stake than just a trophy, says Jerry Falwell, founder of Liberty University. Falwell and the religious right figures that if they can raise a generation that knows how to argue, they can stem the tide of sin in the country. 65% of Liberty's debaters go on to be lawyers with an eye on transforming society. King's College in the Empire State Building says, personal quote, it's their motto, our mission is to create ambassadors of Jesus Christ to lead and serve the world by training them to enter such strategic national institutions as media, government, and business. Example, I told you so. And since I already told you so, let's continue with the original article, shall we? Quote, Robertson himself made a losing bid for the presidency in 1988. Robertson did not mince words. Personal quote, we are not going to stand for those coercive utopians in the Supreme Court and in Washington ruling over us anymore. We're not going to stand for it. We are going to say, we want freedom in this country and we want power. Example. So as you can see thus far, I told you so, and you are the generation that has seen it play out before your very eyes. Now we get into prophecy fulfillment territory. What I mean is, remember we discovered the anarchist stealth plan was to seem tolerant, but we all know now, once you're in power, you don't have to seem anymore. Well, check this out. Are you ready to hear this? Under the end of pluralism. Quote, in a disturbing rant, Randall Terry, founder of the anti-abortion group Operation Rescue, said, quote, personal quote, I want you to just let a wave of intolerance wash over you. I want you to let a wave of hatred wash over you. Yes, hate is good. I'm going to read that again. Kind of like that. I want you to just let a wave of intolerance wash over you. I want you to let a wave of hatred wash over you. Yes, hate is good. Our goal is a Christian nation. Stop. Yes, yes, hate is good. If this doesn't prove these suckers are on the Trump side, nothing will. Notice, he said, quote, hate is good, and immediately followed that up with, quote, our goal is a Christian nation, which can only mean when you are out there exposing and someone uses this excuse of, well, they are not a real Christian. You look at them in their sleepy, sheepish eyes and say, yes, they are. But let's continue. Are you guys ready to hear this? Personal quote. I want you to just let a wave of intolerance wash over you. I want you to let a wave of hatred wash over you. Yes, hate is good. Our goal is a Christian nation. We have a biblical duty. We are called on by God to conquer this country. Stop. Again, other than Isaiah 14, you know, telling us what Lucifer will accomplish upon the earth. But other than that, there isn't any mandate like this of any sort from the true anointed one, colorless Jesus, or the entire Old Testament. So I ask you, gentle strangers, what God are they talking about? Told you so. Let's continue, please. Are you guys ready to hear this? Quote, our goal is a Christian nation. We have a biblical duty. We are called on by God to conquer this country. We don't want equal time. We don't want pluralism. Stop. In essence, he is saying it's either Jesus Antichrist superstar or nothing. This is where prophecy comes into play. Am I the only person, when hearing this, immediately thought of being brought into their synagogues, smitten, brought up on charges of being a black Hebrew Israelite, convicted, beaten, turned over to the state governors / authorities, then to the king / national authority? Well, am I the only person? I surely hope not. But let's continue if you need something to jog your memory. Quote, once dominionists are empowered, which is now, only one religion and lifestyle will be recognized: fundamentalist Christianity. But you and I now know it will be Luciferianism cloaked under the shield and the white hand of Jesus. Listen up. Quote, democracy and Christian nationalism are diametrically opposed. While theocrats will invoke the religious liberty guaranteed by the Constitution to further their agenda, they have no intentions of keeping it when they win. Gary North, one of the movement's ideological founders, made their goal clear. Personal quote, a Bible-based social, political, and religious order. What? A order? Religious order. What? A order? Religious order. Which finally denies the religious liberty of the enemies of God. They view the system that treats everybody equally as the greatest obstacle in their plans. Stop. Bingo. This is one of the reasons. What? This is one of the reasons Pence has stacked the administration deck with known constitutional experts in the cabinet positions. They intend on using the Constitution to further their religious freedom goals, then turn right around and use it to make sure your religious freedoms are denied. Guess what? Both sides of the coin are within the Constitution and supporting documents. And everybody knows that tie goes to the person with the gun. A caveat. I had to do in college political science. And I remember when we was reading these things, I raised my hand and I asked, because we was reading these things. And I was civic-minded, I come from a civic-minded family. And I was trying to understand. And I realized, yes, there are both sides of the coin in this Constitution. Not just the 3/5 of the man, all that, the public stuff. But when you read in these things and the guidelines, I can see the reason why they need the constitutional expert and what they're going to have to do. Twist the perception of what is written. Is that what CERN is all about? I don't know. We're looking at the Bible, but we're not looking at these other texts, are we? But let's continue. I know you think I'm just talking smack, but give me a minute or two, and the proof as the chick. Well, you know what? When she's by herself, Miss Deborah always says, the proof will be in the pudding. Quote, secular humanism and all systems that bypass biblical knowledge will have to go. The us versus them mentality that treats the rest of the non-Christian world as satanic will make pluralism impossible. Stop. I just read something. Caveat, I'm sorry. Notice, everybody keep mentioning Satan. Satanic. Well, yeah, as I'm understanding this thing now, or my understanding of it thus far, is, yeah, one's taking over the other. Sure, there's going to be some opposition. So he doesn't mind Lucifer's followers. They don't mind calling out Satan Albert Pike made it perfectly clear there was a difference, and they were diametrically opposed. He dissed the Satanists, and said Lucifer was the thing. So uh, I'm looking at this thing in broad light, all around, trying to step back, look at it, so you can see things, on top of. And yeah, wholeheartedly, I can see where uh, Lucifer's children, because that's what scriptures tell us now in Isaiah 14, if we look at it, if it pans out to be true, they are diametrically opposed to Satan. Satan definitely doesn't want to give up his kingdom and what he has wrought. And this is not his kingdom, this is Queen Bee's, but what he has wrought in this land and about. And why Jesus obviously is him, because that's who his enemy keeps pointing out and naming and calling out. So I'm going to stop my rant. I'm going to finish this out. My bad. Quote, Rick Joyner admits, personal quote, "At first, it may seem like totalitarian, totalitarianism, totalitarianism. That's it. That's it. That's your company? Yes. As the Lord will destroy the Antichrist spirit now dominating the world, totalitarianism. But he assures those willing to be deluded that the kingdom of Christ, personal quote, will move towards increasing liberty." I'm going to say that again. Rick Joyner admits, personal quote, "At first, it may seem like that word, as the Lord will destroy the Antichrist spirit now dominating the world." Say it again. At first, it may seem like that word, as the Lord will destroy the Antichrist spirit now dominating the world. But he assures those willing to be deluded that the kingdom of Christ, personal quote, will move towards increasing liberty. Stop. Wow. Did you hear that? Amazing. This isn't the first nor second time we have heard them prepping their cult for what they plan to do. Overthrow and seize control of Satan's colorless Jesus in your heart Christian construct, and stealthily, ever so stealthily, put Lucifer's roughshod Jesus Antichrist on the throne, putting an American boot up everybody's butt in the process, with a general assembly of Christians never being aware of the overthrow. But again, they have already prepped the Christians to be expecting chaos. They expect what the Spirit is telling you is on the way. That word. And out of the ashes, a new dawn of man and earth will reign for 1,000 years. Or so as they believe. But let's continue. Undermine the Constitution. Quote, "The U.S. Constitution, the bedrock upon pluralism thrives, will obviously have to be abrogated, abrogated, or else reinterpreted under the Dominionists." Stop. Bingo. Remember earlier when I said using the Constitution to further their religious freedom goals was one of the reasons Pence has stacked the deck with constitutional experts? Well, here is the second reason. To circumvent it. Remember, if the white man write the law, the white man know how to get around the law. Why? Because there are too much money to be made and too many industries created to get around the laws. But let's continue. Listen up. Listen up. And tell me if this doesn't fit the bill of fulfilling prophecy. Exactly. Quote, in its place will be a government based on Old Testament laws. The laws of Moses features, among other things, 1. The death penalty for idolaters, i.e., non-Christians. 2. The likelihood of the reinstitution of slavery. 3. The abolishment of the income tax in favor of a tithing system. And 4. Eliminating the prison system in favor of the system of restitution for non-capital offenses. Go over and read that again. 1. The death penalty for idolaters, i.e. non-Christians. 2. The likelihood of the reinstitution of slavery. 3. Abolition of the income tax in favor of the tithing system. And 4. Elimination of the prison system in favor of the system of restitution for non-capital offenses. Stop. For the explanation to number 4, please refer to number 2. Why? Well, allow me to ask you a question, gentle strangers. When you heard reinstitution of slavery, what did you perceive? I perceived what I already know, which already started under Rick Perry's Texas Board of Education. And that is, they plan to erase the notion slavery existed from the public's mindset and implement an unpaid apprenticeship program, where instead of locking up criminals, they will put them into a program partnered with a major company. The company will give the inmate training, while the company gets free labor to pay off the inmate's crime. Am I the only person to perceive this is a no-brainer move to create jobs, cut spending, stop the cullets from freeloading, and most importantly, pass it off as teaching a person to fish and not just giving him a fish type pseudo-religious twist? It was just a perception. Let's see if it pans out. Let's continue, shall we? Quote, Dominionists themselves are divided on how to apply these archaic biblical laws to modern America. Not all of them are keen on reintroducing slavery, but some do think that its legalization would be a good thing. While the majority support the death penalty, they differ on the method of execution. Strangely, though polygamy was permitted in ancient Israel, they defined marriage as between one man and one woman. The Christian right has the means to exploit loopholes through the American Center for Law and Justice, which is the ACLJ, its legal advocacy arm. Funded by Pat Robinson and armed with $30 million annual budget, it seeks to overturn rulings the right abhors, like Roe versus Wade. It is also noteworthy that the ACLJ supported the Bush administration in its holding Guantanamo Bay's detainees without charges and without trial. In a public policy polling survey released on February 21, 2015, an astonishing 57% of Republicans favored abandoning the Constitution to make the U.S. a Christian nation. Only 30% were opposed, and 13% are not sure. Example: sister who asked for more information. I am way past my reading limit, as you can probably hear. I have a hell of a lot more though. interesting points. But if you think you got it, I'll move on. Let me know in the comment section. Or anyone else, please let me know in the comment section. I got a lot more. Some of it off the cuff. It's not too pleasing for women. That's why I didn't put those parts in here right now, because you know what? There's a bad thing out there about me. Like I don't like women or something. I don't know where y'all would ever get that. But that image in the persona. But I don't want to tweak that right now. So you guys let me know if you want to hear more about this subject. If I don't hear anything in the comment section, we'll move on to the next. I'm excited about the next also, and the next after that. And it's being lined up, people. Nothing on about this subject. We're going to go back to Jeremiah, and then we're going to bounce around to some other things. And I like it. So stop rambling. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this video. God's will, look for the next.